So where to next for Liverpool? Next season is going to be a very interesting one as far as their transfer projects go. As for the current squad, the front three, who all have 2 years left on their contracts, maybe they're the subject of debate around transfer moves this summer. Shaka, what do you think as we take a look at the front three? First and foremost, we'll include Thiago as well as someone whose contract is up in 2023. Is it going to be a big summer of change for Liverpool?
I don't think so. I think if Jurgen Klopp has his way, he keeps his front three intact. And of course, he's got Diego Jota on there as well, so he can rotate accordingly and rest players as needed. But for all Liverpool's struggles this season, and yes, you understand the concern around the front three. Let's take a moment to remember that Liverpool we're 2 years out from Liverpool being crowned European champions. We're less than a year out from Liverpool being crowned Premier League champions. And this has been a season like no other for everybody, not just Liverpool. And it's taken its toll on Liverpool Football Club, and that's reflected in their current league position. But we're still talking about Mo Salah as the Premier League's leading goal scorer. Sadio Mane has had an indifferent season. Sadio Mane is a player I love. I think he's absolutely fantastic. But it really has been a season to forget for Sadio Mane. And Roberto Firmino has been the unsung hero of that front three ever since they've been put together. So as of right now, despite the emergence of Diego Jota, despite how important he continues to show himself to be whenever he's involved, I keep all three / I keep all four as of right now. Now, there's a lot of speculation and rumor about Mane and Salah and their relationship and whether it will ever, if they will ever find that kind of understanding that they had of last season and 2 seasons ago. If I'm Jurgen Klopp, I'm trying to manage that situation, trying to convince them both that yes, let's put this season behind us. Let's put this little, whatever it is you'll have going on personally behind us. We can still refine our best selves professionally. So that's what I'm trying to sell to all three and all four this summer.
Do you think it's going to be an easy sell for them? I mean, obviously, they've all got their own situations to consider. And you talked about the relationship between the players as well. When you go through a season like this, how difficult is it to stay united as a group when you know what you've achieved in the past and you want to build on that, but maybe it just has been a fractious period of time, and can they recover from it?
I think they can. And listen, without any kind of external influence, which I'll get to in a moment, I think you can. I think Jurgen Klopp can, given the successes they've had. It's a hard relationship to mend if you don't have the successes that Liverpool have had over the last couple of seasons to use as your backdrop to convincing both Mane and Salah that we have to look past whatever disagreement it is and whatever is causing that little fracture between the two. That being said, that's without anybody else getting involved. But for argument's sake, let's say Real Madrid tables a bid for Sadio Mane. And let's say Manchester City tables a bid for Mo Salah. Not that I've seen anything of that from either of those two, but let's just put that in there. Then it becomes far more difficult for Jurgen Klopp to say to these two, commit your futures to what we have here. Never mind last season, never mind the disagreements within the dressing room. Commit yourselves to what's been happening. That becomes a far more difficult sell. And we wait to see as seasons wind down and then clubs really ramp up their transfer activity in the summer, before, during, and after the Euros. It really is an interesting time. I throw the Euros in there, fully recognizing that Liverpool's front three won't be competing in the Euros themselves, but it's a pivotal time for clubs in terms of what they do in the transfer market.
It's a great point if the bids come in for any of those front three, really, at this stage, all at a similar age at 28, 29, in the peak of their careers. Do you think that effectively Klopp has to go out and demonstrate where they're going to reinforce as a measure before something happens with interest surrounding the front players in order to convince them. Because otherwise, or maybe he's looking for a little bit of backup in the striking positions as an alternative if something does happen. Where do you think he's operating at the moment with his thinking on new acquisitions?
I think right now he has to be thinking centre back, and I think you've seen how that has cost them during the course of this season. All of a sudden, you have a glut of injuries, all in the same position, and Liverpool are a shadow of their former selves. So finding able replacements if they're similar injury patterns next season, I think is something that Klopp needs to do. But in all honesty, I think attacking-wise, Liverpool are still strong. You know, we've spoken about their front four. Thiago's another player I like a lot, and I think adds a lot to Liverpool going forward, though he hasn't set the world alight this season himself either, but I think that comes. I also feel, and this is something I say a lot, I feel that when you can't keep the ball out of the net on one end, it becomes very difficult for the strikers to score goals, because the natural reaction is to drop a little bit deeper, provide a little bit more cover. And then you just don't get the goals that you once did. Mind you, we are talking about Mo Salah as the Premier League's leading scorer. But I just feel that how poor Liverpool have been at the back has really affected their style of play. They get that right, I think you'll see Liverpool again be back to their attacking best. So while we may be thinking about what can Jurgen Klopp do in terms of bolstering the attack, I think one of the first things he needs to do is make sure and shore up that defense to allow that attack to be at their best.
And you're fully confident that next year we will see the return of Liverpool. Let's say that they're able to remain settled in attack as well as reinforcing at the back, and they get their major players back. You see a sort of a springboard effect for Klopp's team.
No question. I think Liverpool will be as good as they were last season or 2 seasons ago. The big question becomes, how much has Man City progressed? How much has and will Chelsea progress under Thomas Tuchel? What will Manchester United do? How will they continue to progress under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Now, those clubs have not stood still. That, for me, is the big question mark around Liverpool. Not that they can be back to where they were 2 seasons ago, but how far behind that other three have they fallen?
I suppose finally it would just be a question of whether the difference between Champions League football and Europa League football plays a part in these summer moves and also their mentality going into next year.
Without question. Big players want to play in the Champions League. It's not really a sweetener for some of the best players in Europe to say, come and play in the Europa League, even if the promise is we're going to get back to our best selves, we're going to be playing in the Champions League in another season or two. Right now, if players are moving right now, those are the competitions they're looking to be a part of.
So maybe another added challenge for Jurgen Klopp as he remains convincing his front three to stay at Anfield, to rebuild, to go again next campaign and improve their fortunes. Keep it here at ESPN FC for all the Liverpool talk across the summer.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.